Joining us for this week's Chalk Talk, sponsored by the Basketball Coaches Association of Michigan, is Dan Hoff, the head basketball coach at Watervliet High School. Now, if I'm correct, Dan spent 27 years coaching at Mattawan High School, a variety of other places, which he'll get into, but he has spent the last 3 at Watervliet. So Watervliet, for those of you who don't know, is located on the southwest side of Michigan. Yeah, exactly. We're way down here. But Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Chuck and TJ. Appreciate it.
Chuck is the producer. I'm Lorne, but that's okay. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning.
Lorne, that's my mistake. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
It's all good. Chuck is in the room, though, so we appreciate Chuck for being here, too. All right, let me start off by asking you about the coaching journey that you've taken in your life. So what motivated you? Who are some of the men or women that have influenced you? And, I mean, we know you worked under Steve Hawkins at Western Michigan, so that's a great place to start.
Yes, I played basketball first at U of D High in Detroit and then played at Eastern Michigan. I stayed 1 year on the Eastern Michigan staff from 1976 to 77, and head coach then was Ray Scott, the NBA Coach of the Year 2 years previous to that. So that was a great experience to be with him. I then went back to U of D Jesuit and coached there for 2 years. Like some of us do in the profession, I had a little career crisis maybe and said, gosh, I don't know, college education, I'm only making this much. Maybe I should do something different. And I did something different for about 3 weeks and then ended up coaching at a middle school at St. Hugo's in Bloomfield Hills.
Right.
And then went, after a year there, went to Henry Ford Community College in Dearborn with Jim Armitage. And then went to Australia for 4 years and played basketball there and coached a men's and women's team over there. And when I returned, it was 1 year in West Branch at Ogama Heights High School, coaching a JV girls basketball team, and then Mattawan High School varsity boys for 27 years. And then was on the staff at Western Michigan with Coach Hawkins for 5 years. And then when I left there, actually I left there on November 27th, and on November 28th, I was in Kalamazoo Central High School's gym volunteering with the Ramsey Nichols there, just because I missed it. And the experience I had with Kalamazoo Central kids and Ramsey and his staff just let me know that, gosh, I wanted to get back on the sidelines. Ramsey was so good to me and the kids there were so good. It was just a wonderful experience that led me back into the varsity ranks.
Yeah, you know, Ken Dietz is the athletic director, girls basketball coach at Watervliet. And from what I understand, you were retired. And from what he kind of told us is that you were done, but you had a heart attack. Am I right?
Yeah. I had in July of 2018, I actually had five heart episodes in 10 days.
Wow!
And I'm a endurance athlete. I do long distance swimming and long distance biking. Okay. And on some of my training rides and training swims, it was what's going on here? And so, I went into the hospital and they told me I had 4 blockages. And so I had a triple bypass. And after that, everything's been wonderful. Knock on whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been really nice.
Did Ken have to do a lot of convincing to get you out of retirement back on the coaching sideline?
Well, I'm the Michigan sales representative for the gun. Shoot Away makes the gun shooting machine. Right. And I was in visiting Ken because he had 2 machines and I was working on the machines for him, and he said, I need a varsity coach. Do you have anybody who you think would like to do it? And so I volunteered some information on a coach who I thought had gotten released from his job locally and really shouldn't have. He's a great coach. And then I asked a really bad question. I said, well, how old's too old? And he said, you're not. And that was his answer. And I went, oh, I actually said to him, that's a really bad answer, Ken.
Yeah.
And so I went and watched the kids during the summer, and from that point on, it's been a really wonderful experience.
TJ.
Yeah, hey, I'll tell you what, that's awesome. And being in Southwest Michigan, you've got Coach Hawkins is over there too now. So you over at Portage Northern, I believe.
Yes.
Are there any works of you guys meeting up for next season or anything like that?
Well, we talked before he took the job. We talked the day of his interview before he went to the interview. We talked the day after his interview. We met together. I tried to give him some ideas as to what high school basketball is like in difference from the college scene. And actually, the first scrimmage he had as a high school coach was against my team. I brought my team to Portage Northern, and we scrimmaged against his team. And we've stayed in contact after most every game and had kind of skull sessions and whimsical types of conversations, and it's been really wonderful.
That's awesome. Do you consider yourself part of the John Wooden coaching tree? Just because of Hawk being, as a youngster, full of head of hair in Southern California, and now, then you work in Western Michigan for him.
Yes, yeah, and really, it's funny you should mention that, because one of my best friends now is Larry Farmer, who is on the staff at Western, and Larry and I talk at least once a week about everything known to man. And after the first game this year, the referees were leaving the facility, and I was just sitting there talking to my assistant coach, and one of the referees said to me, he said, are you taking the John Wooden approach to coaching? And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, you just sit there and you just watch and talk to your kids. You don't say anything to anybody else. You don't stand up. You don't do any of that. And I said, well, I guess if you say that my practices are meant to prepare the kids for the games, and that's what Coach Wooden did do, then I guess that's quite a compliment. But that's how I approach it. My job is like it was in the classroom, to prepare the kids, and then they go out and do the job.
It all starts with tying the shoes, putting your socks on and tying your shoes.
Putting them on correctly. Exactly right.
I love hearing those stories, and I know that you've got a million of them. I mean, even with Ray Scott, who's a legendary coach within himself. What are some of the things that that you picked up that you would pass on to younger coaches, or anybody that wants to get into coaching kids, whether it be middle school, high school, college, whatever?
Yeah, I guess probably the best way to talk about it is to refer back to the errors of my ways as I went along. Having played in college and then having taken over various coaching positions, one of the hardest things for a coach to do, I think, is to bury his ego and recognize that wins and losses, how the kids play, and that it's not a reflection on him so much as it's a chance for the kids to have a great experience. And as time has gone on, that's become a lot more of who I am, is that I just love to celebrate with the kids. And the two things I told the kids a couple years ago when I took over at Watervliet, I said, I have a lot of character flaws, but here are two of them. One is I just don't know how to lower my standards. I just can't do it. So if I'm here and you're here, you're going to have to come up here, because I'm not going down. And I said the second thing is I'm ultra loyal. I don't know how to quit on people. And I'll be there for you when you're having your children later on. And that's just who I've become. And so I think that's what's important for me now, is putting aside all the things that are X's and O's and developing the relationships with the kids that make them realize how much I am there for them and how much joy they give to me.
Hey, that's awesome. I think that's what it's about, and just helping kids overcome, obstacles that they might face later on in life, whether it be from one version to another. You got to think about basketball IQ. It kind of steps over to driving a car. When you get your driver's license, is that the smart move to make? If I leave 5 minutes early, then I don't have to rush and I don't have to worry about going through a stop sign or speeding or anything like that. And so just the preparation that goes into it. And now hats off to you, Coach Hoff, and those in your ilk.
Thank you. What you just said, that last thing you said, is interesting, because our motto is preparing to succeed. And I told him, I said, it has only a little bit to do with basketball. I said, it has to do with when you're struggling with your job and you and your employer don't get along. Can you go in and talk to him? Can you make something happen? Can you tell her if she's your person you're working with on a project, the things that she needs to know and you need to share with her? And then the second thing we've come up with this year is based on something I think that everybody knows, Vince Lombardi, and we've approached it with a relentless pursuit of perfection, and knowing we'll never get there, but just pursuing it at all times. And I think that's been really helpful to the kids to keep their eyes on the prize.
Hey, Coach, we'll talk about this year's group. I know last year you guys couldn't get out of districts, but you guys have had a great start so far. You're 5-0. Talk about this year's team.
Yes, this year's team is comprised of, we have four seniors, four juniors, and three sophomores. And at every level, the kids are contributing a great deal to our success. Some of them in practice, some of them in the locker room, some of them on the court during the actual games. And we've got a group that has really become incredibly coachable. If I were to go the journey of the last 3 years, I'd say the first year was the settling in year. Last year was okay. We've had some success. Why? And then this year is let's build on the success. And about every single practice, I must say it often enough because I'll tell you a little story in a second. But about every single
Sure.
practice, I begin with, today is a great day to get better. It's a great day to get better. And I put on the board when we have our pregame talks, great day to get better. We don't talk about the score. We don't talk about wins and losses. Just get better today. And before our last game, the kids walked into the locker room, all wearing a shirt that said, "It's a great day to get better." And I thought, well, we're at least on the same page. So if I'm wrong, at least we're wrong together. And even if you're wrong together, you're going to get some things done. And so this group has been wonderful for that. Exactly. Exactly, TJ. That's the plan. That's the
Yeah.
plan.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, BCAM has introduced, officially launched their One Team campaign. That's an effort to promote unity among teams, schools, communities. So important. Are there any things that you guys have done already or that you will do, whether it's coming together at games or a community activity to promote unity on the court, respect for each other as far as teams?
Yes, I think what's been really good in our conference is people just play good basketball. I in the 3 years I've been there, I've seen no trash talk, no showing up an opponent after we had two dunks against us last night, and there was no chest bumping by the guy who
Right.
did it. They were just really nice dunks, and our guys didn't go after him because of that. So that's been really good to see. We do our announcements, and they're heartfelt when they're given at the games. And I know that, gosh, probably every single game since I've been there, either I go over to the other coach's bench before the game, or he comes over to my bench. We just sit there and talk for 10 minutes. I know Ty Rock and I last night, his wife was a former student of mine and lived in my neighborhood. So
Wow.
she was up in the stands, and I gave her a big this because they got married a month ago.
Oh,
And
nice.
we just sat and talked about what his plans are in the future, and how he's looking forward to things. And then for the games, when the referees come up and have the captains on one side, we always stay with the captains of the other team. So last night I was with the Fenville captains, and Ty was with our captains. And so we show the players that, our approach is one of sportsmanship and one of unity. And I think that should carry over to them as well.
Absolutely.
I love that. I think that we've talked about this in the past, in past shows and years past, about the fraternity, the tight unit that high school basketball is. It stretches from one state to another, and as if you go to the NCAA championships, I think they're down in New Orleans this year. You'll see a ton of high school coaches and Division III coaches, and everybody's mingling, everybody's talking, everybody's picking up. Hey, how can I get better? A lot of what you're talking about, and I think that over the years, one of the beautiful things, I'm almost in this now for 20 years. Lorne,
Yeah.
you're about 25 years old, so
Ah.
but it's one of those things
Yeah.
to
20 years of doing state champs.
yes, yeah, and so just to watch the evolution of the kids. I think when right around the time I was starting, you had a couple of bigs. I believe Larson, was it Matt Larson?
Mark Larson and
Mark
Wilbur
Larson
Ampey.
and Wilbur
Yep.
Ampey. Yep. And one Ampey wound up going to Grand Valley, I believe, and Larson wound up going
Yes.
to Bowling Green. But just to
Exactly.
see the evolution of what they've become. Can you talk about like some of your past players, and things that you're really proud of them about?
Sure. Just a quick note. My son graduated in 2012, and he played at Lawrence Tech.
All
Um,
right.
he uh, he was part of their first recruiting class from Tom
Right.
Kempf in 2012.
Mhm.
So he played there for 4 years. But I stay in contact with so many of my players just because we went to war together each day, and developed that type of esprit de corps. And Mark is an engineer here in town for Humphreys Engineering. Corey Wagenmaker is an insurance agent. Ryan Law is a doctor at the Mayo Clinic. I won't mention this person's name, but I have a former player who's a drug enforcement agent. The kids all over the world and all over the country are just doing really, really good things. And not for all of them did we have a perfect relationship when we were together. And that's what families have. You have some things that go like that. But in almost every single case, even those who didn't see eye to eye with me, and I didn't see eye to eye with them, the evolution since then has been so wonderful, because I think we all look back and say, yep, that's interesting how it was back then. There's one young man I was bike riding with a lot. And like I told you, I do a lot of bike riding. And he and I were fighting up this big hill one time. And he said to me, he said, Coach, we probably didn't get along, but we're going to get up this hill because we're both so stubborn. Right. And I said, yeah, we're both stubborn. I had my job and you had your views, but there we were on bikes riding and struggling up the same hill. So I take great joy in the fact that people have done that for my children. I had that done at U of D High for me. My high school counselor is a priest who's 83 years old, and he and I still talk once every couple of weeks. Wow. And he still counsels me. And that's what I think life is. It's about those relationships and thanking those people who have gotten us where we are, and then helping others get to where they want to be.
Absolutely, Coach. This has been a great conversation. Jay Redmond, who played on your son's team, he's actually in the office right next door, right here.
I was at Jay's wedding, and I actually called his mom and dad a little while ago because I saw something that made me think of them. And Jay and my son were roommates for 3 years.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, just
small world.
It's a great, wonderful thing. Yeah, exactly right.
Okay, well, Coach, thanks again for all you do for basketball, everything you contributed. Good luck the rest of this season, and who knows, maybe we'll see you guys at the Breslin. Just take a run.
Yeah, it would be a wonderful thing. The community would be a wonderful thing for the kids in the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you for spending time with us today, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, TJ.
Okay.
Take care.